The first code is class and static method. The first step is we define a class called matutils using the class keyword. Inside the matutils class, we define a class method called add using the class method decorator. The add method takes two parameters, x and y. Within the add method, we simply return the sum of x and y using the plus operator. We define a static method called multiply using the static method decorator. The multiply method also takes two parameters, x and y. Inside the multiply method, we return the product of x and y using the asterisk operator. Outside the class definition, we can now use the method of matutils class. We use the class method add by calling matutils add34. Since class methods are bound to the class itself, we don't need to create an instance of the class to call this method. The result of the add method, which is 7, is stored in the variable result1. We print the variables of result1, which output is 7. Next, we use the static method multiply by calling matutils method multiply 3 and 4. Like class methods, static methods are also called using the class name. The result of multiply method, which is 12, is stored in the variable result2. We print the value of result2, which output is 12. If we run this code, the output is and this is the output of code 1, 7 and 12. The second code is debugging techniques. The debugging techniques. We define function called calculate average that take a list of number as input. Inside the function, we initialize two variables, total to keep track of the sum of numbers and count to keep track of the number of element in the list. We start a for loops to iterate over each number in the number of lists. Inside the loop, we update the total variables by adding the current number to it and increment the count of variable by 1. After the loop, we calculate the average by dividing the total by the count and store it in the average variables. Finally, we return the average from the function. And now, we create a list called data containing the number of 5, 10, 15, 20, and 25. We call the calculate average function passing the data list as an argument and store the return value in the result variables. We print the result using the format string display the calculate average. So that if we run this second code, the output is the average is 50. The third code is all about classes and object. Class car. The code begin by defining a class called car using the class keyword. The init method is a special method in Python classes. It is called a constructor and it's executed when an object is created from the class. inside the constructor self refer to instant of the object being created. Make, model, and year are the parameters that need to provided when creating a new car object. The constructor initializes the attributes make, model, year with the value passed as argument and set the first running attribute to false. And now, the def start method is defined with the car class. It takes self as the only parameter which refer to the instant of the object that called the method. When the start method is called, it set its first running attribute to true and print message indicate that the car is now running. Stop method is similar to the start method. It takes self as the parameter and set first running attribute to false. It also print a message indicating that the car has stopped, like the car has stopped. The get info method is defined to retrieve information about the car object. It takes self as the parameter and return a format string containing the mix, model, and year attribute of the object. Two instances of the car classes are created, car 1 and car 2. The argument provided during object creation are passed to the init method to initialize the attribute of each object. The, up, the attribute of the car 1 and car 2 object are assessed using the dot notation. In the first line, we print the make attributes to car 1, which output is Toyota. In the second line, we print the model attribute of car 2, with output is Civic. The start method is called on car 1, which set the first running attribute to true and print a message indicating that the car is now running. The stop method is called on car 2, which set the first running attribute to false and print a message indicating that the car has stopped. To get info, method is called on car 1 and car 2, which return to format string containing the make, model, and year attribute of each object. The return string are the printed providing information about the car. So the fourth code is exception raising. In this code, the divide numbers function take two arguments a and b and perform division if the value of b is 0. It traces a value error exemption with the message cannot divided by 0. In the try block, we call the divide number function with the argument 10 and 0. Since 0 is not a valid divisor, the function raises the value error exception. The exception is caught in the except block and we print the error message. So if you run this code, the output will be cannot divided by 0. The last code is file reading text. That is the example of file reading text. And if we run this, the output is file content, hello world, this is sample text file written successful. That's all. Thank you.